Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Stuff I Heard podcast. I am your host, Josh Peak, and today happens to be episode 244. This is the 22nd of July, 2020. It's a Wednesday. Sorry for the weird sound from the last episode. I tried to do something real experimental. We went on vacation with my wife's sister and her family, and I thought, in my infinite wisdom, that it might be pretty cool to do one on a balcony overlooking the ocean. I thought, well, the sun's on that side of the house. It's going to look nice. Um, I don't know about the sound, but let's give it a shot. So I did a full, podcast like normal and did my little talk thing. And then when I was done, I went back and listened to it, and I was like, you can hear the ocean a lot. Now, I tried to put it through some filters, but it didn't quite work out like I'd hoped. I did get some feedback from a lot of you saying that you could hear a lot of the ocean, so sorry about that. And to be honest, I wanted to do one with the people that were there, but there was a lot going on, so it never quite happened. We did get to spend a little bit of time yesterday with Derek Dove. You guys may remember from episode 211, Derek Dove is a musician, and he's been on the podcast before. He does the Facebook Live stuff oftentimes, playing some music live. He can be booked for any kind of musical event. Derek Dove and the Peacekeepers, or you can find him on Facebook, Derek Dove, Derrick Dove. Or just follow one of my links. You'll find him. I put his link on my page. He's got DerrickDove.com. So anyway, I got to meet him and his wife and his kids, and got to have a fun time just hanging around, and we grilled out some burgers and some fresh corn and hot dogs and bratwurst and that kind of stuff, and just got to sit around and talk a little bit and hang out, and it just wasn't the opportunity to do podcasting stuff. Plus, it happened on Tuesday, which is not when I was doing mine. Didn't know he was going to be there, honestly. We showed up, and then they were like, "Oh, Derek is in the area on vacation with his family. He might stop by." I'm like, cool. I honestly wanted to do one with Charles. Charles has been on the podcast before, and thought it'd be a good opportunity to have him on. But we were just busy with family stuff. We had our kids and their kids there, and a lot of going to the beach, and a lot of trying to get everybody fed and trying to get everybody to have a good time. And we played a lot of games. There's a fun game called Telestrations that we played one night, and I almost blacked out from laughing so hard. It's Telestrations is a lot like playing Pictionary and telephone at the same time. Pictionary, obviously, is you draw the picture and everybody has to guess what the picture is. Telephone is where you whisper like a word to somebody, and it goes down a chain of people, and eventually it comes back to you, and it's a completely different word than what you started with, because people hear different things, or they don't pay attention, or they think they hear something, but they say it, they think it's wrong, and so they get the name all wrong. Telestrations is like that in that you can play in groups of 6 or 8 or less. I mean, but the books that we had, one set of books had 1 through 6, and the other one had 1 through 8. So that's why I say 6 or 8. Basically, you start off with a card with a bunch of words on the front and back. It's got a yellow side and a blue side, and a roll of the dice. And everybody has their little drawing pad in front of them with their own little dry erase marker and a little felt pad to erase it with. But you roll the dice, and they say, okay, when I say go, turn it over, look at the number, and then draw whatever's there on that first page. Or write the name, and then draw it on the first page. So you write the name on your immediate sheet with your name, you flip it over, and then you draw whatever, you try to draw whatever it is that word is, and then you close the booklet, and you pass it along to the person to your left, and it goes around in a circle, and the other person, they'll look at that picture. They can't flip back and see the word, but they'll look at that picture, and they'll try to guess what that picture is, and they'll write down the name, and then they close the book, and they pass it on to the next person. The next person can only look at that name that they wrote, and they have to try to draw that picture. So you can see how you could start off with something simple like rocket ship, and by the time it gets back to you, it could be a dog or something. There's all kind of funny scenarios in which it could come around. And some of those funny scenarios happened, and I think several of the ladies at certain times were jumping up going, I gotta pee, quit. I doubled over and crawled out of the room because I was laughing so hard I couldn't breathe. Yeah, so it was fun. Had a good time hanging out with them. Had a good time going to the ocean. We went to the ocean a couple of days. We honestly weren't planning on staying that long. We had talked about going, and the family wasn't going to get there until Saturday. So we were going to go just show up, Saturday afternoon, spend all day Sunday, and then come back home on Monday. Well, we got down there and started having a good time, and I thought, I really would like to stay a little longer. I mean, they had rented the place for the entire week, and they kept saying, you guys should stay, you guys should stay, you guys should stay. And I was like, I don't want to stay. But I didn't bring enough clothes. We had to get our son back home so that his son could go back to see his mama. So we made an impromptu trip to Florence on Monday, swapped off our stuff, and went back to the beach. And stayed a couple more days. Today's a Wednesday, and we made it home. So back to the grind tomorrow for me. But we got to spend more time visiting. It's very relaxing. We live very close to Myrtle Beach. We live about an hour to an hour and a half from Myrtle Beach. And on a regular basis, we work there. We have to go there for work, or we have to, for me personally, like I work for a food delivery place. So we go to the beach oftentimes to make sure the restaurants have plenty of food, and we're constantly rolling product into places, whether it's hotels or nursing homes or daycares or churches or whatever, mostly restaurants. But I mean, let's face it, out of a week, I'm usually at the beach 4 of those days. I mean, it's a regular thing. My wife, when she worked for the freight companies, a lot of times, a lot of her business was at the beach. So she was probably at the beach 3 days out of the week as well, if not more. So for us, going to Myrtle Beach was never really a big deal, but this was different. This was a vacation with family. It was not really planned. I mean, they were going to go. They invited us to come down and hang out. We had talked about maybe renting a place near them and coming by and visiting and hanging out for a day or that kind of stuff. We really didn't know if there was going to be room for us. Like I said, some plans changed last minute. Some people that were supposed to go with them couldn't make it. One of their kids couldn't make it. So there was an extra bedroom, and they were like, just come on, we got you. And it's like, okay. And we had fun. We had a really good time. One of the nights before we went out to go swimming at like 9:00 at night in the pool behind the place, one of the nights we sat up and watched Greyhound on Apple TV. I had seen it advertised. Greyhound apparently was based on a real life story. It's a story of during World War II, apparently U.S. naval gunships would escort troops and materials over the ocean so that they could fight in World War II. And you can't fly that stuff over as efficiently as you can put it on a boat and send it over. And this apparently Greyhound was one of those battleships, and it was crewed by a guy who this commander was portrayed by Tom Hanks in the movie. This is kind of a big deal, especially for when you look at the way movies have been made in the past and you look at the way the typical plan has gone. This is a big financial endeavor for Apple TV to get on board with, because this is basically their content. They made this. It's like when Netflix makes their own show. But I mean, Apple TV, as far as I know, is not as big as Netflix. I mean, I'm sure it's wanting to be. What a better way to have people spend money on your platform than to create things they want to watch. And this was just an example, but it's a big get. I mean, let's face it, Tom Hanks is one of the most bankable movie stars in Hollywood. He doesn't make a bad movie ever. I mean, even Joe versus the Volcano, which is stupid, was good because he was in it. I honestly can't think of a bad movie he's been in. Bonfire of the Vanities, maybe? That wasn't that great. But I mean, hey, we all flop once in a while. If you guys heard my last week's podcast, you go, talk about pot calling and kill a black dude. You woofed last week. So it wasn't terrible, but still, you guys get what I'm saying. Like, you can't always hit a home run, But if you're going to hit a home run, Tom Hanks is the guy that you want hitting your home run because he's gonna bring home the money. So he's great in this. He plays this commander guy really great. Um, I'm sure this was based on a real story. I'm sure they probably read books and wrote the screenplay and talked about what an awesome endeavor this thing was. Basically, though, they had to fight off these German U-boats, which is what they call submarines. They had to fight off these German U-boats that were firing on their ships just nonstop. And there was a time period where we were trying to keep up with how long he was going without eating, and just every time you think he could take a rest or have a break or be able to eat a meal, I'm not talking rest, I'm talking eat a meal, he would have food delivered, he would have a cup of coffee in his hand, and everybody's concerned about him. Everybody's like, you need to eat something, and something would happen and he was just high alert, having to make decisions, having to maneuver because he's being shot at by torpedoes, or trying to sink another German U-boat, or trying to save somebody who's drowning in the water. Or it's good. It's really good. It's phenomenal acting, phenomenal cinematography. The way it's shot is great. Everything about it is great. For those of you who are into history, or if you're ever curious about what happened in naval battles during this time, what kind of challenges they were up against, this is a good example. This apparently was one of the hardest fought naval battles in World War II. And the amazing part is when it's done, like, he's congratulated by the English that he meets on the other side of the channel. And they're like, how many trips does that make for you? And he goes, this was my first. It's like, what? Holy cow. This was your first? I mean, he had to make a lot of decisions. Everyone's always looking upon him to give them the answers of, what do I do? What do you want me to do? And he had to instinctually know and call out commands and save people's lives. And just listen, hats off to the guy that really was this guy. Hats off to all of the soldiers who were in this situation. All the way down to the radio guy who's listening to the pings on the radar. I mean, he's having to determine if it's a decoy, if it's an actual, if it's a submarine moving, or if it's a torpedo coming their way, how far away it is, how quickly they need to move, what direction it's going in. All kinds of chaos going on. Everybody did their job really, really, really well. And it was amazing. Apple TV did a great job of portraying this. Listen, I don't have Apple TV. I was glad Charles did, because it was great to watch. It was fantastic. So anyway, we got to watch that. Yay, Tom Hanks. But we got to, more importantly though, we got to spend time with family, and we got to play and relax, and we had a good meal. We went to a place called Landry's and had a good meal. It was weird walking around wearing face masks. I'm still not a fan of it. I know there's a lot of people that's like, it'll save your life. Yeah, okay, whatever. I was more miserable because I ate too much at Landry's. I felt like I was going to explode if I took a breath too big. I was like, nothing like making you feel like Jabba the Hutt than a great big meal from a place like Landry's. But, it was fun. We had a good time. Got to spend a lot of time with my grandson. My grandson is learning how to swim. He had a floaty system where he had like a float thing here and two floaties on his arms. And in the beginning, he was even nervous about getting in the water, but towards the end, he was jumping in the pool, and we made him realize his floaties would keep him afloat. And even though he might go underwater, he'd come right back up, and he'd start swimming. And he got to where he was swimming like crazy, and he had so much fun. And because he had so much fun, we had so much fun. Got to play cornhole with my nephew, and we played a lot of cornhole. We actually played a game where we kept getting set back, and we just kept letting it happen and starting over at 15 every time we'd go over 21. and we must have set each other back like 8 times before I finally ended up winning that match. and then we played again last night, and he ended up winning. So it was fun. We had a good time. Kids grow up fast. So this was good because, like I said, our 2 of our kids were with us, and their kids were with us, and so yeah, it was good stuff. The disappointing part of the trip, which is not really disappointing, it's just I was kind of hoping that I could go visit my buddy Josh Treadaway. He lives at the beach, but he started a new job. He's got more responsibilities. His hours have changed a little bit, and it was an impromptu trip. We didn't actually plan for us to hang out, but I thought maybe I could squeeze it in, but it didn't work out the way things went. So that was the only disappointing part of the whole thing. It was good to get back home and to wash off the layers of sunscreen. You guys, if you're watching the YouTube part of it, you can see that I'm a little bit darker than normal. I did keep my face covered with a hat most of the day, a straw hat, and layers of the Neutrogena beach stuff, which is really good. Is it still recording? I don't know what just happened. I don't know if I'm still recording the same one or what happened. My screen just went completely white, and then this button popped up and it said joining. That's weird. I hope I didn't disconnect from you guys. I was talking away here. I'm just going to keep pushing forward as though nothing happened. Maybe it'll be fine. I hope so. Fingers crossed, right? So let's talk about stuff I heard, because this is the Stuff I Heard podcast, and I should, be on the same page with the rest of this idea. I've heard that who's the guy that played Lando Calrissian in the Rogue movie, in the not Rogue movie, in the Han Solo movie? You guys know who it is. He apparently has signed on to do more stuff with Star Wars on Disney Plus. He's going to come back as Lando Calrissian. So, I mean, there's different characters that I've been anticipating whether or not they're going to continue to play those characters, and if they're going to do it on there's rumors of an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie or possibly a series. Ewan McGregor's already said, yeah, I'll do it. I'd love to do it. Natalie Portman has said that she would reprise her role if they had something come up in that universe. So, I mean, it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I am eager for more content. I noticed that Disney has put out a thing saying that they're going to have a series on Disney Plus called the Bad Batch, and from reading the description, it's going to be similar to the droids that work together on the Resistance cartoon that was on Disney Plus, the Star Wars Resistance. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I don't know if it's going to be animated or if it's going to be live action. It's probably going to be animated if I had to guess. But apparently a lot of fans have written that they really like that segment. So maybe that's what it's going to be. I could be wrong. I could have read it wrong. You guys are going to be like, you're an idiot. You didn't read that right. This is actually what it's going to be. Hey, I'm okay with being wrong. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. I'll do it and you won't even know about it. You'll be like, wow, I didn't even notice he was wrong. That was amazing. So also stuff I've heard, Kanye West apparently is running for president or trying to. He had a rally of sorts in South Carolina this past weekend, and he needed so many signatures to get on the ballot, and he didn't get any. So I'm guessing that he's not going to be on the ballot. That's too bad. Not that I want Kanye to be president, but man, it'd be kind of cool to see Kim on TV a lot more than. Wouldn't that be weird? Donald Trump is the reason that you stopped watching or you stopped caring about the Kardashians, and then a Kardashian ends up in the White House. and she's most famously known for her sex tape. How weird is that? That would be weird. We'd be like, I've seen the first lady naked. I mean, not that me personally, but I mean, I'm not saying I have or have. I mean, I can neither confirm nor deny the fact that there is a video out there of her doing really dirty things, dirty things. So yeah, I don't think it's a disqualifier. It is kind of humorous, but anyway, off the subject. Next subject. What else? I don't know. I ain't got much. I have been watching the Cursed show. I don't know if I talked about that on the last podcast before we went out. Cursed on Netflix. Right now, I've only watched 2 episodes, but I got my stepson watching it, and he pointed out to me that the girl who played Hannah Baker on 13 Reasons Why is the main character on Cursed. And I was like, really? I had no idea, man. He's like, yeah. He goes, and you know the old man was the guy from, like, there's an old man on the show that you see. You know, that old man is the guy from Ozarks. He's the one of the snail. He's the snail guy. And I was like, oh yeah, how about that? Like, it's kind of cool because there's characters that you recognize when you're watching the show, and you're like, I've seen them somewhere, but it's hard to put 2 and 2 together. And he kind of pointed it out to me. So thank you, Jared. I appreciate that. That helps me out because I knew they looked familiar, but I couldn't remember from where. So far it's pretty good. It's supposed to be the story of what happened with Excalibur before it landed into the hands of King Arthur. So, you know, this obviously is a fictional tale of magic and mystics, mystic whatever powers. And the guy who played Floki on Vikings is playing Merlin in this. So, I mean, so far 2 episodes in, it's pretty cool. There's some magic, there's some mysticism, there's talk of elves or fairies or whatever. I've seen some magic happen already, which is pretty cool. Not really sure how it's going to play out, but Jared's watched more episodes than I have, and he's like, dude, it's so good. So apparently, dude, it's so good. So I'm gonna keep watching more of those. Yeah, so that's it. That's all I got. That's all I got, folks. I hadn't watched or done nothing. I literally have just spent a lot of time the last couple of days not thinking. I mean, I've relaxed. I've slept in. I normally get up around 2 or 3 in the morning. And for the last 4 days, 5 days, I've gotten up at like 9, 9:30, 10. And I wake up and my first thought isn't, oh no, I got to do this. Oh no, I got to do that. Oh no, I got to hurry. I'm supposed to do this. I'll get this done. I woke up and I thought, I smell coffee. See, that's the difference. When you're the one responsible for everything, like, you do wake up in kind of a panic of, I got to get this done. I got to get this out of the way. I got to make sure this is done. When you don't have to, you wake up and you're like, what are we going to do today? Oh, I smell coffee. Or I smell sausages. Sausages. Yay. Sometimes it's nice to do that. Special thank you to Cindy and Charles for having us up. I appreciate it. I just can't thank you enough. That was great. Thank you to my work for letting me have the extra couple of days off. I just called them and was like, hey, is it okay if I take 2 more days? Because I got nothing planned and I need to burn some days. And if you guys got nothing, I could use those days. And they were like, sure, go ahead. So thank you to work for allowing me to do that. Appreciate it. It's kind of nice to reset, you know? We did stay in Surfside. We were able to walk up and down the beach. My wife and I walked towards Surfside Pier, and looks like it's been damaged by a hurricane. They just haven't repaired it. They've got it all taped off so that nobody gets hurt near it. But we walked all the way down there and walked all the way back, and it was nice. We saw lots and lots of starfish. I've never actually seen a bunch of starfish before. I've seen like one or two ever that were alive in the ocean in the wild kind of thing. But we probably saw hundreds of little ones. I mean, little bitty ones, but they were all over the place. And my wife's like, "What's up with all these? Are they just? Is this their time to come ashore? Is it like a mating season, or is it?" I was like, "I don't know. I think they eat the little tiny stuff that's out here right now. I don't know." But yeah, good time was had all rested, relaxed. Now it's time to recharge, reset, refocus, get back to it. So that's it. I'm going to cut this short. I am going to do one of these coming up pretty soon with Josh Treadaway again. We didn't get to do it before, like I said, but we're going to coming up. Sort of catch back up on what's going on and talk about what it's like being a grown up and that kind of fun stuff. Maybe. We'll see. All right. Y'all take care. Thanks for tuning in to the Stuff I Heard podcast. And, again, I'm going to try to do more of these, like not just here. Like I'm going to try to do more out and about, and I'm going to work on the sound quality. I'm going to try and see if I can get a better sound quality when we do it. But if I screw it up, sorry. Yeah, I got to try, right? It's the only way I get better. But thank you, everybody, for sticking in there. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, share with your friends. Check out the website, stuffiheard.com. There's episodes on there. There's merchandise. There's pictures of guests, all that fun stuff. Again, if you want to hear the podcast with Derek Dove, go back to episode 211. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Please support Derek Dove. Go on to his website, derekdove.com. You can check out his music. You can buy merch. You can listen to anything. He's got live links. It's pretty good. And that's it. I'm going to wrap this up. Y'all take care. And as always,
cue the cow.
More likes.